So with the success of the new Fallout show on Amazon, I decided to go and check out Fallout 76. It made me ask the question, is it any good now? And the reason that I had that question is because when Fallout 76 released, it was an absolute disaster. If nobody remembers these sweet little lies, tell me sweet little lies from Todd Howard, that game was a disaster when it launched with 16 times the problems. However, it has been many years since that game launched, and there have been a lot of updates. So the question then is Fallout 76 any good? Well, the show itself I thought to be fairly decent. I don't know tons of lore about Fallout. I have played most of the Fallout games, but I can't really say whether or not the show ruined a ton of things or not. That's for like the lore hounds and lore purists to decide. I know a little bit of lore. I've retained a decent amount of the lore, but it's not something that I'm going to like really go crazy over people messing up. So I've put about 6 hours into Fallout 76 just to sort of get some preliminary first impressions for it, really. And here is what my reporting is. It's pretty decent now. What I remember hearing about when the game launched was that there were no other NPCs, no human NPCs in the game. Everything in terms of story was told through holotapes, and apparently it was really bad. But they've added in humans, they've added in settlers, they've added in all kinds of people and quest givers now who are essentially giving you all the quests now. There are holotapes and stuff like that in the game, and of course there are still the computers and stuff you can read things from, and there is, it seems like, a lot of lore in this game to really dig into. The main story itself, I couldn't really tell you much about it because as soon as I came out of the vault and started interacting with the world, I was immediately swept up with side quests and people doing things and all kinds of stuff, and really that's the kind of thing I look for in a Fallout game. And in this case, I don't really know what the main story is anyway. It's to go find the Overseer, which I did accidentally just by exploring the world. So far, it's been pretty fun, but for a lot of people, it's going to come down to the performance of the game. I think that is going to mostly ward them off. If you're playing on PC, then the problem comes down to frame rate. The game, if you play it in borderless windowed or in windowed full screen, you will get locked at like 48 FPS or 42 FPS, something like that. And if you go full screen, in my case, I'm getting locked at 72 FPS. Now, the reason that they lock the frame rate is because the frame rate and the physics engine are tied together. How do I know this? Well, I did unlock my game's FPS. You can do it, but it immediately breaks your game. So you have to find a way to limit it, maybe with VSync or something like that. I don't really know. I've just kept it at base. I've kept it at 72 because everything that I've tried to do to fix it or to at least get a higher frame rate has not worked or broken the game. So your results may vary on that one, but for me, I'm playing on controller 72 FPS. I can deal with it. Would I like 144 or 120? Yes, but whatever, 72 is doable. Gameplay wise though, if you have ever played Fallout 4, it's the same game. It is literally the same game. It feels like just the same engine, the same everything, even though they claim 16 times the detail. I don't really see that, but it is just Fallout 4. And that's not terrible. It is a little more action-y, first-person shooter sort of thing, and pretty much all of the mechanics from 4 are in the game. The big difference that I'm noticing is that the building mechanics are sort of contained to one area called your camp, which is, instead of having a compound or a settlement like in Fallout 4, you are kind of constrained to sort of an area that you can build in. And they have added in sort of these like bunker vault things that you can go and get underneath of and build in there, and they can act as like a social hub sort of thing. I haven't messed with that stuff too much though. I didn't really care for the building in Fallout 4, so building in this game is probably not something I'm going to do a lot of. But gameplay wise, it is your typical FPS game. VATS is in the game, but in a more constrained fashion, in terms of instead of using VATS to attack a body part, it basically, in every interaction I've had, when you use it, it locks onto the entire body of the person. I'm pretty sure headshots and stuff still do more damage, but from what I've seen,
17,
that acts more of a real-time aim assist or aimbot more than anything. What it does is it locks on, it basically takes over your aiming. It locks onto an enemy and then gives you a percentage to hit chance. So if you lock onto an enemy, it'll say, oh, 80%. So when you shoot, you have an 80% chance to hit. Pretty simple. It's a very simplified version. I don't know if it's better, honestly. I think it's just sort of there to appease Fallout fans by saying, hey, VATS exists. The art style is still very similar to all the other games. It's just, you know, set in Appalachia now. So you have Appalachian monsters, Mothman, the Grafton monster, those sorts of things are there. And there are, I believe, in the late game, which I haven't actually gotten to, I have not gotten to the end game by any means, there are bosses you can fight. There are big like armor suits you can get. I think you can even launch nukes at people. And so those were things that I think were always in the game, but those are just things that are there you can do if you really want to. And so far I've been having a good time. The big difference really, in my opinion, is how you go about leveling up your character. It is very much not an RPG in the same way that something like New Vegas is, or even Fallout 3, where you have a character that you then can put points into your special stats and increase those stats sort of individually from the get-go, I should say. You can increase your special stats as you level up, but starting out with, let's say, a level 4 strength, a level 5 charisma, that sort of thing, those are not things that you can do in the game from the beginning. So every single person comes out of the vault with a baseline, pretty much a baseline 0 across the board, or a 1 across the board. And what happens in this game is, instead of leveling up and unlocking perks based on your level, you unlock perks through essentially loot boxes, I guess is the best way of putting it. You level up and you'll unlock perk packages, which will open up like a pack of cards that'll give you a big like list of perks. And those perks can either be scrapped, or you can combine similar ones to level them up. So if you have something that's like, do 10% more damage with revolvers or handguns, and you find that same perk again, you can then merge those two level 1s together to make it a level 2 that now it'll do 20% damage instead of 10. The increase is there, you can increase those things, but there is a bit of luck attributed to it. And then on top of that, the amount of perks that you can have within each special tree, because each special, the word special is strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. And as you level those up, you can put perk cards into each one of those letters. And the higher the level of your letter, the more perk cards you can fit in there. And that's how you build your character and your class. So that's just kind of how that one works. It's okay. It's not as good as some of the other Fallout games, but I can see why they did it as a form of like, you can easily respec your character and do all that stuff, and it makes it more MMO and less RPG in my opinion. But if you, let's say, want to play a game that's a more RPG Fallout game, go play like 3 or New Vegas, that kind of thing, or go play the originals if you're into isometric games and not first-person shooters. But do I like Fallout 76? So far, yeah. I've actually been really enjoying my time with it. It is pretty much a game that you can just get lost in the backwoods of West Virginia and go and fight monsters, go and do all kinds of things and quests, and I have been lost in the game already just by doing side quests, and there's so much like content that you can just find and do, and emergent content in terms of random quests that will just show up, because they're on like a timer basically. Oh, there's a thing happening up the hill, go and do it, and maybe that thing will happen again in an hour or two, who knows, but those things happen. And so yeah, I'm having a good time. I don't have good armor, I don't have good weapons, but hey, I'm getting there and I'm actually kind of enjoying it. So, are you or have you played Fallout 76 recently? What do you think? Am I on point? What am I missing? What about the end game? That's what I want to know, is when you get to the end of it, is it still worth playing at the end? Or is it something where it's just like, okay, I've done everything, I'm done and I'm out? Let me know. But I've been having a good time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you want to see more stuff like this in the future, be sure to leave a like on this video. Feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys next time. I've been BubbaTV24 Reviews, and I'll see you next time.